Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jesse, back again with my compadre de la Lorito? Loritos.
De la Lorito. I like it. It's sort of like Doritos, just with a bunch of extra letters.
And knowledge.
Indeed.
My dear hetero life mate Pride, of the wonderful Smoking Gamer. Link somewhere on the screen right now. We're back because you have demanded that he and I get together to have a mild conversation. I'm going to use the word mild because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a freak out at some point in the next, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah. I'll probably join you this time, actually. Just as much as you're confused, this is like my shit, and I'm pretty confused as well.
The topic of today's wonderful lore discussion about World of Warcraft, I guess I would say it's a theory crafting video since we've done many of these, but I gotta be honest, I don't know what this is, because you asked us to look at the cutscenes, more importantly, the final cutscene of patch 4.3, and actually, you know what? We'll play it for you right now.
I can feel the elements awakening, rejoicing. The Cataclysm is over.
The champions who fought at our side assured the survival of our world. But now, we must see it with mortal eyes. We dragon aspects have fulfilled our great purpose, and our ancient power is expended. But though our day draws to an end, life endures, and new generations will be born. Today's victory belongs to all who stood against the shadow. You are Azeroth's true guardians, and the future of this world is in your hands. For the dawning of the Age of Mortals has begun.
So as you can see at the end of that, the dragon aspects have lost their power, and they declare it's the time of the mortals. And Agra has a baby. Where the hell Agra was during that fight, I have no clue. She just showed up. I got to be honest. I don't know where to start with this, but everyone wanted to know what we thought about it, and so this is the video about that. You know what? Since you're the lore master, Pride, I will let you go because, yeah, I don't want to freak out quite yet.
Well, if they want my thoughts on it, my exact thoughts when I kind of saw it was, what?
Exactly, yeah.
So I'm trying to make sense of it, and I mean, we just did a Wait This Lore on it, and we couldn't make sense of it there, and there were like 8 of us there on that, so I mean, like, I don't understand the concept of this whole deal where they're basically saying in the cinematic that their ultimate goal or their purpose in Azerothian life was to stop the Hour of Twilight, but the Hour of Twilight was caused by one of them.
See, all right, that's one of the things that really annoyed me about this cutscene, is it said, is Alex Ross is like, we've completed our great purpose. All right, first off, anywhere before this moment, did anyone mention they had a great purpose? Where?
Right?
Someone point me in the direction of what their purpose was. Their great purpose up until this point was they were the Guardians of Azeroth appointed by the Titans.
Yes.
And that's all that's it. And
They're there to make sure the Titanic experiment of, billions of years ago didn't get too out of control.
Instead they go, we have, this is all part of a plan. It was their great purpose. Explain that shit to me. I don't understand it. And this is all like they were destined for this. It makes no sense because in end time, in that battle, when you fight Morazin, he says, you know what? This is a reprieve from the real end of the world. You should be thankful for this end time. Because the real one is effed up, bro. And he essentially says, like, if you read into that, which I did, that the end time that you see where all the dragon aspects are killed and the old gods take over the planet, that's the best thing that could happen in his visions of the future. Which makes me think not the Titans, but the Burning Crusade, the Burning Legion, is, especially Sargeras, like, that could be even worse. And there's so much potential there for that. But then to say that he loses his powers over time, then Morazin wouldn't exist. And I don't understand. I don't get it, because then it negates the whole aspect of why he would need to be. Because it's saying that Nosdormu saw his own death, and he tried to prevent it. But by doing this whole scenario, he becomes mortal, but he does it for a good reason. But if he prevents his own death, he prevents killing Deathwing, and my brain just leaked out of my ears. It makes it's like the most hackneyed, poorly written thing. Like, I love Blizzard, but damn if this isn't the stupidest. It's insane how badly written this whole ending scenario is. Like, there's no words. There's literally no words for how this thing ended. I don't know what to say. Like, there's so many plot holes within plot holes within plot holes. I don't know. I don't know what. I mean, you can't. They all lose their powers. They all lose their powers. No, all right. Their immortality.
Yeah.
But the little glowy thing is their powers. The dude's sand comes out of his shoulder, which I'm pretty sure that means he's lost the power of the Sands of Time. Which, does that mean that the Caverns of Time is now closed?
Some can argue that. Some can argue that now, like, they can't control their powers. But one would argue that Kalecgos is still, very good at magic, right? One would assume that Ysera is pretty good at, the druidic, shamanistic, type of stuff that goes with the Emerald Dream. One would assume that Nosdormu, being a chronomancer, that he's still good at some magey stuff with this chronomancy, right?
Chronomancy?
Chronomancy.
Yeah.
I'm just going with it because that's what came to mind.
Might as well.
And so, like, I mean, they're still powerful beings, but we don't know the extent that they've lost their power, because I want to bring this up. Like, this comes from, like, Charge of the Aspects towards the end. Kalecgos says the Titans clearly had a plan for us: magic, time, life, nature. They will forever exist. It is only logical that we were meant to safeguard them for eternity. So what that's saying to me is that even though they've lost their power, their immortality, right? They are mortals now. And we've seen that if an aspect dies, then he can be replaced. We've seen that with Malygos and Kalecgos.
Okay.
Right?
I get it. I understand that. So you're saying that they still have their powers to control the different things, they just won't live forever.
I'm saying they still probably have some control over it. But I definitely feel that they're much weaker now as well, because of how much power they put into the dragon/demon soul, right? Like, we knew that they were at about half power already because they had put so much power into it originally 10,000 years ago during the War of the Ancients. So they're not nearly as powerful now as they were back then even. Like, back then they were just like big boss and it like nobody's business, like no one could touch them. Now that's why Deathwing's so much stronger than they are. That's, you would imagine there's 5 dragon aspects. One of them goes crazy, the other 4 could easily take them out. But that's not the case, because Deathwing is a clever little bastard and got them to get rid of half their power and give it to them, right?
Right.
And so that's why we have this whole situation where Deathwing's like the all-powerful, right? He wasn't originally necessarily like that. But because, Deathwing got them to basically give away half their power, now they're only half as strong. And now they've given even more power into the Demon Soul to take down Deathwing now that they're even weaker than they were before, so they're not nearly as powerful, right?
No. That I think is my biggest. Like, they don't make it seem like that's the reason why. Again, I think it comes down to poor writing, which I feel bad because I don't know who wrote it, the ending. But I think the fact that they go, well, our great purpose is over, it makes it seem like this was all destined to happen. And that is kind of hackneyed compared to the fact that we just dumped all of our power to defeat the one guy who stole it all to begin with. You know, it was worth it, though. That kind of stuff, like...
It ends how it began, right?
Yeah, like it's like we gave up our powers to save your world. Now what will you do with it? Like that kind of a storyline would have been better than, oh well, our great purpose is over. What purpose? No, it's not over. You got tons of shit to do. And this is what gets me. Follow me here. You're in Northrend. There's a huge battle. There's a huge battle waging up there. You fight old god minions. There's giant tentacles coming out of the ground. You go up to the top of the Worm's Rest Temple. The top's blown off. You fight dragons up there. Then you jump on an airship and you fly off. You fly off with the dragons, the dragon aspects, and you go kill Deathwing. Meanwhile, in Northrend, there's still a bunch of old god monsters attacking up there. No one gives a shit about that anymore. No one cares. I guess we're supposed to assume that the dragons would have handled it, but since they've lost their powers, or most of them,
can they?
Can they handle it?
Right.
I mean, yeah. Right now, I imagine Northrend's just overrun with old god monsters, and no one gives a damn. No, and the people are like, whatever, let them freeze their asses off.
We do still have the Alliance 7th Legion up there. Just saying.
I like to point out that after they got done doing the Return of the Jedi ending with the fireworks in all the different cities, we ended up basically like, oh well, look, it's the age of the mortals now. Yeah. Oh, great. So
no, it's the age of the mortals. Yet Sargeras is like the last guy we can fight now.
Yeah. So our 4 biggest allies are now mortal. There's N'Zoth, who's somewhere. We don't know. Queen Ajar is still alive. Who knows if we'll ever see her. You have Sargeras, who is just, beyond evil and I guess still trapped, I would assume. Kil'jaeden, who is still trying, who will stop at nothing to destroy the world. And he's out there still trying. You have all 3, apparently now, of the... what are those, the 3 brothers, the 3 demon brother guys with the wings, and they're like, blah, I'm a vampire man.
Balnazar, Deathrog, Verimathras.
Yeah. Guys. They're out there. No matter how many times we kill them, they disappear, and then they say, we'll be back, and we haven't seen them since Wrath. So there's so many bad guys out there, and half of them are immortal. And it's like, well, the Age of the Mortals is here. The Age of Mortals is here. Like, great. We are screwed. and then... This is actually a message I got. This is one of the messages that sparked this video. It says, I've recently watched the epilogue cinematic of the Dragon Soul Raid, and I found out something that confuses me. Alex Raza said, we dragon aspects have fulfilled our great purpose and our ancient power has been expended. In Ozdormu's case, if he lost his powers as the aspect, does that mean he no longer controls time? Which I think we kind of addressed. Does that mean he can't become Morazund because of it? If that's true, then we have changed the course of time in Azeroth. Is this this is either an error on Blizzard's part or quite a twist to the story? I don't know what to make of it, so I'd like to know what your thoughts on it are. I think we might have addressed this, but this is like one of those things where I don't know how to address it because it's a paradox. Is what it is. You can't address something like this. We went back in time to steal something that was used throughout time, and it was just, like, that part alone is confusing. Then we go forward in time to talk to a guy who doesn't exist because we defeated. Because I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin with that.
Well, like it brings up an interesting deal here, right? Like. And I brought this up on Scrolls of Lore, which are like the ultimate nerds of lore. Like they put me to shame. And I brought this up because, like I said, even I'm a little confused about what the hell's going on here, right? Especially with Nozdormu Murazan type deal. Like, well, and just like you said, I even like that's the one of the first things I said. Well, wait, if Nozdormu loses his powers, then he can't become Murazan. But he said that he's gonna Murazan time into what? What?
Exactly.
What?
It makes no sense.
So I bring this up, and they're saying that Murazan is from another timeline, right? Like that's half the argument is Murazan is from another timeline. But we still have to go back to the point where Nozdormu says that he will in fact become Murazan at some point in time. It is inevitable and it will happen. And what we see is that like we have a couple of quotes here from Murazan, right? And it seems like do you know what you have done, Amenthul? Do you know what I have seen? Right? Like, and it's all building up to this like super massive like oh my god moment where just everything blows up, just like nothing survives. I'm talking like Big Bang, but it happens on Earth. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, no, I mean, because yeah, like I said earlier, he literally says in the boss battle with him at the end of the end time dungeon, he says, "This is a reprieve from the real end of the world. You guys should be thankful for it." Like,
yeah.
This end time is nothing compared to what I've seen.
Yeah, I mean,
this is easy.
Yeah, the actual quote is, "I have witnessed the true end time. This is a blessing you simply cannot comprehend. The end time I once called this place, this strand I had not seen by then. I did not know. You hope to what? Stop me here? Change the fate I've worked so tirelessly to weave?" Like, that's like him saying exactly what you're saying. You know, you should be thanking me. You should be bowing down at my feet, kissing the ground that I walk on because I have given you a better way out than what's coming.
And that when I did that dungeon for the first time, I was like, awesome. I deep down inside I was like, yes, that's the kind of cool stuff I love to hear. Because that to me was like, oh my god, coming down the pipeline is gonna be some crazy stuff. And then it's like, well, by the end of 4.3, he's like, no, not anymore. Like, what would you do that? So and it does see the dragon aspects, if I'm to understand, at least this is what I believed, the dragon aspects are, it doesn't matter if they're different timelines. It doesn't matter what, they're beyond space and time. They are like whatever the hell they want to freaking be. And so Nozdormu, he knew, and this is something that was a fact, he knew in the end he would become Morazan. Like that's, in the Twilight of the Aspects, that's what he confesses. He's like, look, I am going to become the leader of the of the Infinite Dragonflight. Mm-hmm. That's who I will be. And there's nothing I can do about it. That's what will happen. Mm-hmm. And he's like, because at some point I will you know, he's like, I will see my own death and I will freak out and I will try to stop it. And with this timeline, he becomes mortal now, which might lead to that. But then how can he become an infinite Dragonflight leader, thus continuing through time and way into the future? I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't, like, that alone is confusing to me. Then you have Alexstrasza, who's the life binder, and she's, you know, she's the queen of all the different dragons, and with her powers gone, first off, what were her powers anyway? Like, she breathed fire on guys and flowers appeared. That's as far as I got with her. And she gave birth to a bunch of dragons. Like, that was her deal. But never got, like, through all the games, I never quite understood what her thing was. Like, Ysera was the guardian of the Emerald Dream. Emerald Dream we'll probably never see now because they keep pushing it off and we'll never see it. And
well, they wrapped it up anyway.
Yeah, in a book, which is kind of depressing to me. And then you have Calicos, who basically magic is his thing, and magic is magic. No one really cares about that. Blue Dragonflight, as far as I'm concerned, got the shaft when it came to cool powers. And then you have Alexstrasza, who I thought from previous games like Warcraft 3 and all those different things, like leading up to this, and early WoW, she was essentially the mother of all the different Dragonflights. Like, that was her role. But apparently that's not it at all.
No, that's not it at all.
So I'm curious, what is her deal? What, like, I don't understand what she brought to the table besides being the leader of the Dragonflights.
Well, aside from being, like, abnormally fertile, right?
Yeah.
I really don't know. Like, obviously, I think that she has, number one, the ability to like take death and turn it into a positive type of thing, where, like, But I mean, that's also a natural occurrence that we see every day here. Something dies, it rots, it goes into the ground, lots of nutrients and stuff, and then like bright green grass comes up, right?
Right.
It's just the cycle of life. You
Yeah,
live, you
so basically
die,
she's a
more life
walking,
comes.
like, beginning to the Lion King, essentially.
Yeah.
Look to him, Kakamanda.
Like, I'm sure, in all honesty, that she probably has the power to, like, bring people back, Like, it wouldn't shock me if she had that power, to be completely and totally honest with you. Like, it would not shock me.
She's never used it, though.
Well,
which is
yeah, and
interesting.
but it's probably the same reason why, like, Nozdormu hasn't used his ability to change at this point, hasn't used his ability to change the past. Things like that, right? Like,
Well, I guess
they have these powers, but they have a moral obligation to not use them to their full extent. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Their whole deal is that they are there to protect the world. And I think that if like Alex Strauss's powers could be something along the lines of like a worst case scenario to where like everything just gets wiped out and she can kind of bring it back.
I mean, I don't, but at this point it doesn't matter. Because now they're mortal. And with that, much of their power is gone. I would say almost all their power is gone. Like, Nozdormu may be able to, like, go through time whenever he wants, but can't really do much. Alex Strauza can, like, I don't know, have a bunch of kids. I don't have a clue. Ysera maybe can do, like, druid stuff. And Calicos can, like, cast a few spells. But really, their main powers are gone. I don't know. It's kind of a letdown, I'll be honest. And then we go from this to Mists of Pandaria, which I don't know what the Pandarans are going to have to do with any of this. Probably nothing. which kind of is ironic considering we just got the dragons telling us it's the age of the mortals. We have given up all of our powers and are now mortal, and it's up to you guys to decide the fate of the world, and we just defeated this big dragon. And immediately after this fight's over, it's like, well, back to the Horde and the Alliance fighting. Like, that just seems shallow as hell. To me, that seems stupid.
And there's a massive lack of a tie-in there, right? Like,
seriously.
Didn't they say at BlizzCon that the end of Cataclysm would reference pandas? Right? I mean, like, didn't they say that there was gonna be some sort of tie-in?
Well, there'll be one more patch. I know they say there won't be, but there'll be a 4.4. It will happen. It'll be a it'll be one last dungeon. Or one last mini raid boss, like one boss like they did. They always have something like that. They always have one more thing right before to like sort of bridge the gap in some way. And I'm telling you right now that whatever it is, it has to be good, because you can't say to me that in the final fight against Deathwing, an Alliance gunship containing the former leader of the Horde, and in my guild, we're Horde Guild, and so we get on board. Two guys that jump on Deathwing's back are a dude named Swayze, Patrick Swayze wannabe, who's a human, and a guy named Keanu, who is an orc. So you have orcs and humans fighting side by side. You have a Horde Guild with the freaking former leader of the Horde on a Alliance gunship chasing down Deathwing. If that is not like, the bonds of fellowship, I don't know what is, and they go after him, and then you're telling me immediately after that,
like, seriously,
they're just gonna go at war again.
It's like human Cylon relationships in Battlestar Galactica.
I mean, it's ludicrous. Now, I know people are gonna be like, well, Varian wasn't there, and Garrosh wasn't there. Doesn't even effing matter to me. You're telling me that a battle like that, word wouldn't get back to the two factions that, hey, the Alliance and the Horde banded together to defeat the freaking, this champion of a old god. And the dragon aspects gave up their powers to defeat him. And you're telling me that, that's not really important to us. Let's go back to killing each other. That is retarded.
Even among men, I mean, how do you go from, like, Deathwing to pandas, though? Like,
well, and this is my, like, I'm totally cool with, like, people are freaking out, like, pandas, oh, that's stupid.
No, I like the pandas.
I'm fine with the pandas.
I love Mr. Pandaria.
I think the pandas are hilariously awesome. Their abilities are great. The monk class is fun. I love all that stuff. But as a guy who doesn't play alts, I have my main character. I play for the story, the continuation of the plot, right? Because I'm interested in it. I want to see where it goes. I played Warcraft 1 all the way through to where we are today. I played all of it. I played every dungeon, every mission, every quest. I've done it all. And I can tell you that the transition has to be something really worth my time, or I'll be super disappointed. Because I see no reason, like, if they're saying, oh, well, we find Pandaria, and we go there because of a war between the Alliance and Horde, that is the most incompetently stupid plot device ever. If they can't connect it to the old gods, which they have been hyping for 2 expansions, and then they're saying, oh, well, there's this old god N'Zoth, and then we don't ever meet him, or Queen Ajara, who is underwater, who is apparently warped by an old god, right? And there's an old god, I guess N'Zoth is down there or whatever, and then they're saying, like, oh, we won't see her either. We're going to take you to Pandaria. Why? Why are we going there? And I know we talked about this before. It was like, we thought there might be some old god device there, or perhaps like something that can take us to the worlds of the Titans or the Legion, right? And instead, they're just like, at BlizzCon, they essentially said, well, we're going to go there, and there is going to be a main bad guy, but there's going to be this, like, our hate for each other is what's going to cause these creatures to appear, and there's, like, bugmen. And it's the concept is cool, but it seems like something we'd see in, like, WoW 1.7, where, you know, like back in the vanilla WoW, where there wasn't really a driven purpose or storyline, and it was just kind of like,
it was more the storylines were contained. Like, the storylines were started and finished in the same patch.
Right, like you know, then. AQ had its own storyline.
Yeah.
You had Nefarian and oh my god, my brain just died. And whatever that place is, Blackwing Lair.
Yeah.
Right? Like his storyline. He was making special dragons. You had all these different stories. You had Nax Ramus. That's like, it was all these different things, and they weren't connected in any way except they were in the world of Warcraft. Right? Yes. And so if you played Warcraft 3, you knew all these stories, and you were like, oh, this is awesome.
Right. Well, not necessarily.
Then they did Burning Crusade, and that was a contained in one expansion massive story. Then they did Wrath of the Lich King, and they started a plot line that ended with 4.3. Essentially, they introduced the dragons, introduced the plots with all the dragon stuff, and they brought it full circle in 4.3, and then they basically ended it.
They didn't just end it. I mean, they just, like, they killed it. The whole story, like, it can't get. Deathwing's dead. Dragons are powerless.
Yeah, like, and then they say, we're gonna take a complete diversion from all of that, and go do something else for a little bit. To me, I'm thinking, no, there's so much the story with the dragons. What happens to the dragons? What do they do? What goes on with them? Like, sure, they're mortal now, but what takes place? Then you have this whole, you know, well, there's the Titans and the Burning Legion, and then you have the old N'Zoth is still out there, and you can't tell me that we're not going to see Queen Ajara, because Queen Ajara showed up in Darkshore.
There's so many, like, massive unanswered questions out there. Like, what exactly, like, we have a general idea of what's going on with the aspects, we don't know exactly how it ends. Like, that's something you really shouldn't just kind of wing off. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Like, we need to know exactly where they stand now. They're like, you know, now it's in your hands because we've lost our immortality, but we've got conflicting stories here. We've lost our powers. We will have to guard these things for eternity. Like, which one is it? Are you still guarding this stuff? Or do you still have the ability to control, or are you just, like, totally powerless and just regular dragons we can stab in the heart, like, you know?
And here's the crazy thing. I mean, I guess we could kill them before or whatever, but I mean, here's because we did kill Malygos, but here's the crazy thing. This was what blows my mind. If they have completed their great purpose, right? Their purpose was to watch over and protect Azeroth, and they lose their immortality, or whatever. You're telling me that after their purpose is over, that the Titans who created them for that purpose wouldn't come back to the planet to see what was up?
Right?
Like, that is a plot line that should be continued immediately. There is no reason to have a year diversion with pandas unless the panda diversion has something to do with what we're talking about. Which, so far, I don't understand how, because they specifically said it doesn't. So you're telling me that these dragons who are supposed to watch over everything, protect the world, fight off old gods who have lost their most of their powers, their immortality, essentially the whole, like, It was the immortality of the dragons and their powers that kept Cthulhu trapped in AQ. Without that, without the bubble they built over him, and without their immortal lives to stay there forever to make sure he didn't get out, he would have gotten out. So now you have a bunch of dragons who are totally free. Now you have a bunch of old gods.
Right now.
Yeah, you have a bunch of old gods who are totally free. You have a bunch of dragons who are powerless and now mortal. And you're telling me that we're not going to continue that story. Northrend is covered with old gods. No one went back there to clean that shit up, as far as I know. And then you have N'Zoth, who's wherever he's at. And then you have Cthulhu, who came back many, many, many times, took over Cho'Gall. Cthulhu's still alive somewhere. Essentially, you can't kill old gods. And so they're immortal. And you have mortal dragons who are in charge of putting them in check.
Right.
But they can't do that now. And so now you have these immortal...
See, that's the deal. That has been and should be what their purpose is. I mean, that's what we've been hearing and we've been told, and what...
that's why they're there. Their purpose is to keep the old gods from doing any damage.
The Titans
That's why they were created.
The Titans had to leave, so they gave the aspects their powers. 5 of them gave the aspects their powers, their abilities to control certain things. And the whole idea was to balance out the 5 old gods that are on Earth, or on Azeroth, right? Like, that's the deal. That's what they're supposed to do. Now, all of a sudden, their whole purpose of being created, they were created by the old gods now, or the Titans now. Keep this in mind. They were created by the Titans, given their abilities, but apparently now, all of a sudden, their purpose is to kill one of them, one of their own. So why would the Titans create these aspects, right? Give them this purpose to where they have to kill their own. Like, why even?
Well, no, I think maybe their great purpose was to help the mortals reach that level where they could care for themselves. Maybe that's what they're saying. Like, you don't need us anymore. Like, but then that is that's a foolish thing to have as a purpose. Like, we're going to create you guys to, like, maybe they're saying you can fight the old gods now, you don't need us anymore. But that, to me...
But that makes... isn't the case at all, because we know for a fact that that's not the case, because...
I'm well aware.
A question has plagued me. If stopping the Hour of Twilight is our purpose, if this is what the Titans created us to do, then what will become of us when it is done? That's saying that is that's what they believe is, in fact, their 100% purpose. That's why they were created. They were created... So one would betray them, and then the other 4 would have to kill him. Like, that's such a moronic, idiotic, like, pointless thing for a Titan to... These are the Titans. These are, like, scientists of the universe, right? They've created...
No wonder Sargeras was like, F this, I'm out.
So, I mean, that's the... It's like, no, that cannot be right. Like, that's not... That does not fit the profile of the Titans. The Titans create stuff to learn things, right? The Titans create stuff for a purpose that is meaningful and that will help them out in the future with trying to create this perfect world, right?
Right. Yeah, because for those who aren't aware, every world for a Titan is a test.
Exactly.
They're essentially experimenting because I'm not sure I understand how the Titans came to be exactly, but their purpose as Titans is to create this utopian perfect world. And so far, they've been unable to do so, but every time they do, they learn from what they got in the last world to help them create something a little bit better.
Yes, and then there's all these, like, different places like Ulduar, Uldum, places like that basically store information that happens all on this planet, and then apparently at some point a Titan is supposed to come back, gather this information, and then leave again. Like, that's what is supposed to happen, but we haven't heard from or seen from any Titan, with the exception of Sargeras, to, we don't know. Like,
we did hear from Algalon, who showed up and was like, I'll report back to the Titans. Like, he was their messenger, and then...
But he's a messenger of the Titans, right? Like,
yeah.
He's there, and he can go back and tell them, but how far away are the Titans right now? Like, we haven't seen them in at least, 100,000 years.
Oh, if
possibly,
not more, yeah.
Like, far, far, far more. I mean, you've got Ungoro, which still has dinosaurs and stuff, right? Like,
and so I mean, the crazy thing is, and this is what I think really bugs me, is that you have this. They're saying it's in mortal hands now, But the old gods, Cthulhu, we couldn't beat without the help of the dragons who had trapped him in AQ and defeated him the first time and kept him in prison in that bubble thing that when he finally respawned, I guess, he was easy to defeat because he was so weak, right? And then you have Yogg-Saron, who we couldn't defeat without 4 avatars of the Titans coming to help us.
Right.
I mean, sure, there was the like, oh yeah, we're gonna do it with the zero kill and get our achievement. But in reality, for story purposes, we could not defeat him without having those avatars there.
I've just come to a sudden realization here, Jesse.
Uh-oh.
Like it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'm like, now, because this is all we need is more confusion, right? If the Titans like gave the dragon aspects these powers and stuff, right? Then why hasn't someone just asked the dragons about the Titans? Like you've got all these dwarves running around trying to figure this stuff out, right?
That is hilarious.
Right?
That is actually totally true. How come no one has stuff?
Just ask the dragons.
Yeah, how come none of the Explorers League have just gone up to the dragons and been like, look, we helped you. We helped you save the world. What's the deal with the Titans? That is hilarious. That's true. Like, if you and I were in Azeroth and we had the dragons in front of us,
we would have just won. Like, we would have just won Azeroth.
I mean, if we were there, I would have said, why? What is the why the Titans? What are they doing? But instead, every time we meet the dragons, we ask them like, they're like, well, we need you to do this and this and this and this, and then you ask them like, well, what are we doing here? What? But we never ask them anything important, and then we just follow what they do. Like,
right?
Story-wise, someone eventually would have said, hey, what's the deal? Like Bran or one of the Bronzebeards, someone would have said, what? Like, I have done all this stuff for you. Hell, even when we went to Ulduar and we had all the Titan guys there, couldn't he have gone in after we cleared out Yogg-Saron and asked the avatars who have been there for an eternity?
That's true as well.
I don't know. It's that kind of like.
Not only that,
but
that goes back to like there's so many like WTF moments right here. Like number one, why did the Titans make if the purpose of the aspects was to in the Hour of Twilight, which was in fact caused by an aspect, why were they created in the first place? They would have no purpose if they weren't created, because the Hour of Twilight would have never happened, right? There would be no Twilight dragons without there would be no Twilight dragons without the aspects. There would be no Deathwing without the aspects. There would be no Murazon without the aspects. You know, why were they even created if their purpose was just to cause destruction, right? And then of course you've got that. Why didn't even so, why didn't the Titans just say, hey, by the way, one of you guys is gonna turn against each other? Have fun with that, right? Like, and then we have all these seekers of knowledge out here with the Explorers League. They're all, you know, butthurt because they can't figure out anything about the Titans, when they know that the aspects have been charged by them and have seen them and have talked to them and have met them, but no one has had the idea to, oh wait, let's just ask them. Like, I don't get it. And then just to add in some more here for you, Jesse, just to throw some more at you your way, because I know you haven't read Charge of the Aspects yet, but I feel you need to hear this here. Like, this is from Charge of the Aspects, right? And this is like throwing it way back, because here's what I'm feeling about these 3 questions, right? These 3 main questions that we're talking about here, about why haven't we just talked to the aspects about the Titans? Why haven't the Titans come back? Why were the aspects created if their point for creation was to kill themselves and lose their power or what have you, right?
Right.
Like, I don't think we can answer that at all. We can sit here, we can throw theories back and forth all day, but it's still going to be stupid and pointless at the end of the day, because there's absolutely no reason that it should have happened. Like, that's just so stupid and dumb, and it doesn't fit the profile of the Titans, right? At all. Like, it serves them.
Well, is it because that this planet was unique because of the old gods, and so they had to do something crazy like this? Could it be that kind of explanation? That's a nitpicky, asinine explanation, but I mean, could it be that because this planet was so unique because it had old gods?
Because if that was to be the case, then now the old gods are free, and now the Titans are back at square one.
Right, like that literally, like this ending. That's the kind of thing that I think is frustrating. Is the aspects were created to stop the old gods. Their purpose was, though, to prevent the Hour of Twilight. But the Hour of Twilight didn't kill any old gods. All it did was prevent the end of the world one time at the hands of one of their own. And so you're telling me that then that was their purpose, but there's still old gods running around. There's still evil creatures running around, and there's still Sargeras, who's on the planet. So, just like trapped in the middle of it.
Someone get me red shirt guy on the phone. Seriously,
it's insane. It's literally. I know we're clearly nitpicking, and I know someone's gonna be like, nerds. But I'm telling you, if you wasted 7 years playing a game that built up to a moment, and then that moment turned like this is the kind of stuff where I'm trying to think if this is like for Star Wars fans when you find out that the Force is like midi-chlorians. You spent years and years of your life like the Force is everything, and it's in us and around us, and like it's this ethereal presence, right? And then you find out it's like little bacteria in your body. It's a virus thingy. Like that kind of crap. Yeah. It's like you don't quite comprehend where they were, and you just want an answer. You don't care what the answer is. You just want an answer.
You just want an explanation as to why this idiot, like, make it make sense to me. That's all I want. Just make it make sense to me.
Exactly. That's all I ask. Just make the last, like, massive plot lines you sent me. Make the stuff I just got done doing since Wrath came out. All of that storyline. Make the reasoning behind it make sense to me, and I'll be totally cool with whatever you say. As long as that makes sense.
Since TBC came out, because we had this Caverns of Time in TBC.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So we had the Infinite Dragonflight then too. Exactly. You're right. So since the last 3 expansions, that storyline, just make it make sense to me. Just that's all I ask. You can't play with time. Like, I get that they went down a dangerous path the moment they started playing with time, and then tried to wrap it up really quickly and neatly in 2 patches at the end of an expansion. Like, I understand they screwed up with that, and I'm totally fine with it because I think it was a screw up. But give me an explanation that makes sense.
I'm not sold that it's a screw up because generally speaking, every time I've asked Metzen a question, he's answered it for me. He has not talked to me at all whatsoever about any of this. I have gotten nothing from anyone at Blizzard about anything regarding.
But I will say, I think I one-upped you last time we got Metzen, because you said that Pandaria was the. Oh, you know what? This could be it. This could be our moment.
Oh, could it be?
Yes.
Are we gonna like come back? We just created an expansion. Are we about to create a patch now? Is that what we're doing?
We're pausing.
Okay.
This could be our answer. And I don't think I like it, but this could be our answer to the whole thing. We might have to end the podcast, or whatever this is, the Vlodcast, right now.
Okay.
Last time, I had said that Pandaria was the calm before the storm. And you said, no. Pandaria is the storm.
Yes.
We sent a message to Chris Metzen, and he said it was the calm before the storm, correct?
Yes, that's Chris Metzen did get back to me, and he said, no, this is the calm before the storm. Pandaria is the calm before the storm.
So perhaps this is that expansion that's like building up to something that comes with the old gods, or perhaps the Titans coming back, or not the Titans, but the Burning Legion, something like that, where, you know, Queen Azara tries to resummon them back through something, I don't know what. Maybe that's what he's talking about, like something really big's coming down the line. But then again, that brings us to why pandas? Why this? Is this one of those things where, even though I know that it's kind of foolish for me to say, I will play Mr. Pandaria just to figure out what the hell's going on with the story. Honestly, I will play 85 to 90 just to have an idea of why they would choose that. Like, I almost hope that there's an old god behind it somewhere. Like, even though they said there isn't a big bad guy, I pray somewhere there's an old god tentacle that's like, I'm a wiggling, just so I can have that, like, okay, at least it's connected somewhat. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But if it's the calm, I guess that makes sense. Like, okay, we're taking a little break from this, like, getting crazier and crazier and crazier storyline. I think it's a bad time for it. And I think the way we're getting it, the Horde and Alliance are still fighting.
Well, not necessarily. And I brought this up the other day. I don't know if you're still recording or not, but I brought this up the other day. That just because we're going to Pandaria doesn't mean that the entire expansion is focused on the continent of Pandaria, right? Like we had the Burning Crusade come out, and even then, the entire expansion didn't take place on Outland. Like we had the last raid back on Azeroth with the Sunwell and all that good stuff. Even in Wrath of the Lich King, we had some times where we had to come back. You know, like there are times when we have to come back to Azeroth and all that good stuff. Even in other expansions, hell, in Cataclysm, we were all over the place. We were all over the place. You know, we were underneath the earth, for God's sakes. So I don't think that I think that they could continue it sort of, but in a much more casual way. Like we're kind of cleaning up after all this stuff happened in Mists of Pandaria, right? Like it's still a continuation, but we have this one other thing that's kind of throwing us off. Also, I have somehow sort of possibly uncovered something here that can kind of basically Thrall is the one that discovers Pandaria. I'm gonna basically the story is this, right? Like Thrall, after being with the aspects and being torn asunder into the 4 different elements and all that good stuff, well, apparently that caused him to become so just immensely in tune with the elements and the earth and magic and just everything, right? Like he now is like he's so in tune with it. He's to the point where he sits down and now he meditates with Ysera, right? And when in the whole rebuilding of the world tree, which they did do. I found that out. They did actually do that. So it wasn't just like they were going to, and then Thrall was like, "Oh, by the way, me and Agra, can we just get married first? Like, is that cool? Can we just interrupt just for a second?" And then, like, you know, of course, the whole thing of him getting split up. And actually, that did take place where they did fix the world tree. So wasn't mentioned in game anywhere or anything like that, but it apparently that did happen. They did fix Nordisil, and we're all good now, right? So just want to get that out there. But basically, one of the things is that they had both shamans and druids and the dragon aspects all there, and they basically opened up the earth and like grew the roots of the tree all around the world again, and it's fine and dandy, right? Well, Thrall is sitting there meditating.
That would have been really nice to have mentioned somewhere in the game,
right? Of course, now it just gets mentioned in a short story that gets thrown up on worldofwarcraft.com. But basically, you've got Thrall. He's meditating, right? Right? He's chilling out, right?
Is that meditation? Is that what that was?
Right there. That's meditation. The more you know, right? So he's sitting there. He's chilled out. He's in tune. He's getting in tune with the earth. You know, he's feeling the earth. Matter of fact, he even grabs like soil in his palms as he meditates, right?
Oh yeah.
Just to feel that connection. No, I'm serious. That's what they said in the book.
Oh yes, the levels of cliche are just immense. But continue.
He grabs the soil so he can be that much closer, and it becomes a part of him. So much so that it actually like goes into him. Like, not even kidding. Like actually. I'm not even kidding. No, I'm not even kidding.
No, he does not absorb soil.
No, I'm not even kidding. That's what it says.
No wonder I don't read these things. All right, continue.
Right, like, and because at some point, like, they have to keep throwing soil on him.
What? What?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
I'm gonna get to it. Don't even worry. I'm gonna get to it. This is lore with pride here. Don't even worry.
Why would they throw soil? That's so stupid.
So he's meditating, and what he's doing, he's actually like his mind is traveling into the earth, like his kind of like when you're in the Emerald Dream, kind of phased in a little bit, where you can kind of walk around. You know how it would be without it. Except imagine now you're in the ground doing this. Right, so you're going through the ground instead of just walking on top of it. Now you're inside of it, right? Like a really bad Hoobastank song. So he's meditating and he's in the ground and he's going around and and suddenly he gets to this place that he can't see, he can't get to, right? But he keeps traveling along this like very dark cavernous type of deal, right? But before he gets there, this is what it says here. Apart from the areas he knew, Thrall encountered other places and oddities in Azeroth of which he had been ignorant. Somewhere in the Great Sea was a mysterious island shrouded in mists. He just discovered Pandaria. Mm-hmm. After that, it says here you go, because this is another thing. Beneath the eastern kingdoms, a presence stirred in the mountains of Cosmodon. The spirit there was strong, but it was not elemental. It was strangely like Thrall. a mortal who had transcended the bounds of flesh. The unknown being patrolled the ancient earth of the region as if it was keeping a silent vigil over the land. It spoke in a dwarven accent that echoed across Azeroth.
What? So King Bronzebeard is alive? What?
Apparently, and this is what everyone is saying, is that it's Magni Bronzebeard, and he's just chilling out now, like his whole, like, you know, in a statue deal right now, but his spirit is apparently chilling out underground of Ironforge there, just kind of chilling out, patrolling around, and I guess just talking.
What else? Okay, so what else? I'm interested now. What else is there?
Thrall also saw the deep places of the world were riddled with molten lesions and other wounds. That what gave him the most pause was immense caverns, cold and unnatural, scattered throughout the globe. They were pockets of lifelessness that even the earth elements were hesitant to approach. One of the voids set far below Mount Hyjal. Thrall directed his spirit towards the subterranean hollow. Unlike the rest of Azeroth, what lay inside the cavern was hidden from his sight. As he moved closer, a single voice surged out at him from within the chamber, bristling with unfathomable power. Who do you think that is?
I have no clue.
Oh, it's Deathwing, of course.
Wait, what?
Yes. Deathwing chilling out underground in some mysterious cavern in his human form. Thrall was drawn to this source, and he says, "Who are you?" He gets inside, and once he gets inside, he actually becomes like a stone/crystal being. Not even kidding here.
Okay, anyway, yeah, all right. I've given up trying to care about the specifics. I'm like, whatever, F it. Whatever. But okay. And...
Basically, to sum it all up, he goes in there. It's Deathwing. Deathwing is basically trying to get inside Thrall's head, saying that the aspects want to turn Thrall into Deathwing, and for Thrall to feel the pain that Deathwing has had to endure all this time, and that if he let himself go, that he would understand why Deathwing is doing what he's doing, and all this other stuff. It's like, the arrogance of shaman never ceases to amaze me. You seek to tame a power that by rights is not yours to command, etc., etc. Basically just saying that you're an asshole, you're trying to take over my job, I don't like it, you don't want it because you can't handle it. It's stuff like that. Basically, he's trying to say that the aspects are using him to basically turn him into Deathwing and to corrupt Thrall. Thrall, of course, isn't buying it, and he's saying, you know, you gave up, you gave in, you're the reason this happened, you did this yourself, da-da-da-da-da, right? Basically, he pisses off Deathwing, Deathwing beats the shit out of him, and what happens is that a root from the druids and shamans who are outside kind of trying to regrow the tree, a root actually comes in and like impales Deathwing slightly. Deathwing, of course, being all plated up, he just kind of catches it and like pushes it, and then Deathwing is kind of caught off guard, and while Deathwing's caught off guard, Thrall like tackles him and then gets pulled out of this little void that he can't get out of. All right. So those are three things that we have there. Basically, Thrall manages to find Miss Pandaria, and I'm sure he goes and tells someone, and that's probably how and why we find it. Of course, you've got the whole Deathwing thing, the Cataclysm. Although they did say, and here's an interesting deal, and I think this is just something, possibly an error of some kind, but basically they said that the mist was like screwed over from the Cataclysm. It kind of messed up the mist, and now it's not invisible or powerful or whatever the frack it was, right? But whenever Thrall sees it in his vision here, it's still covered in mist. So I don't know what the deal with that is.
Well, if Deathwing is still underground, that means the Cataclysm didn't take place yet, right?
No, this is after the Cataclysm. So
why would Deathwing be still chilling underground?
Well, no, he's just inside this cavern. Basically, it actually explains that he was waiting for Thrall, like he knew Thrall was going to come. It's, you know, basic fantasy stuff.
All right. Okay. Like, I have foreseen it.
Yeah.
All right. So, is it wrong that I'm more interested in the things they didn't explain than the things they did? Like, Thrall came across, like, dark voids and stuff. Like, what would be in there? And all sorts of creepy things. Like, that stuff interests me. Like, I want to know that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll never find out.
And like, what's going on underneath the Eastern, like what's going on under Cosmodon? Who actually is that? Why would they mention that if it wasn't going to be explained at some point? That's what I'm trying to get
future plot. Like that's the kind of yeah. I mean, that's kind of stuff that to me I'd love to know, but for some reason I have a feeling that was thrown in there, one, to appease fans, and two, as a little like story flair. Yeah. Like, what kind of things could Thrall see as he was traveling around the world with his like mind's eye? Like, oh yeah, this and this. And I know that was just thrown in there, but for some reason, I wish they would deal with those stories. Like, there's so much there that I know they won't cover it,
right?
Which is kind of disappointing. It's like the Lost syndrome. They created so much that they can't cover it all, so we'll get like a little bit of it, and we'll be disappointed no matter what we get.
Yeah. Well, I think now at this point it's they're too far ahead. They've gotten way too far ahead of themselves. Like. There's so many questions, and they're never going to be able to answer them all because they're going to forget half of them, right? Like, they're going to forget half the questions they've raised, like half the storylines they've opened up to investigation, which is going to lead nowhere, and it's going to be disappointing because, like, now that I've read the story, now I'm like, well, it has to be Magni. Like, who else could it be, right? It has to be Magni. What's going on?
That also comes down to, say, for example, the Zandalar. You have the Zandalari trolls who come out of nowhere who 2 expansions ago were our friends, and now they're pure evil. And they want to take over all the troll. Like, it makes, like, the Zandalar tribe, for those of you who didn't play Vanilla WoW, the Zandalar were on our side. Like, they were the few trolls beside the Darkspear who were, like, totally cool with us. And they sent an envoy to a little island chain, and you could do quests for them, and they were, like, the trolls in Stranglethorn who were the good guys. And then, there was ZG, and that's you went in there and you did that whole thing. And I'm telling you, like, they disappeared in Cata, and at the end they come back and they're like, well, guess what? We're evil now. We got all the other troll tribes to join us.
I think that has something to do with the Amani talking a little too much and the Zandalari listening a little too intently.
No, the Amani tribe wasn't the one in charge. The Zandalar came back and got the Amani and whatever the tribes who were in ZG. I can't remember what they were. What tribe that was.
That's like saying Gul'dan wasn't in charge.
No. The Amani joined the Zandalar tribe. In that cutscene, or whatever that trailer, the Zandalar envoy comes back and gets the Amani and then the guys who run ZG, the Dakari or whatever they're called, to join the Zandalar in an uprising and to recreate the Troll Empire.
All right, but you should know this better than anyone. It was your question. There's something driving the trolls.
Well, he said, yeah, Chris Messon said that there's something driving the trolls. Here's the deal, though. Whatever this thing is that's driving the trolls, changed them from being an ally of the Horde and the Alliance to a complete enemy in their island, their capital out in the middle of the ocean somewhere. That is clearly another hotspot that we should be investigating. You don't like if that's not in Mist of Pandaria.
I heard somewhere that is in Mists.
It better be. It damn well better be, because that's something that needs to be focused on.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think Mist of Pandaria is going to give Blizzard an opportunity to at least follow up on some things that they really need to, because yeah, we're going to Pandaria, but I can't imagine that Pandaria is going to be... There's not enough going on for us to spend all our time that expansion in Pandaria. Like, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of randomness that kind of goes on. It's going to be a little chaotic at first, but once you kind of get through it, if you take your time, and that's what they said, they wanted to ensure that players take their time with the content, like not giving us flying mounts at all until we're done, basically, right? Like, they want us to take our time. They want us to pay attention to what's going on. And I think that the reason is hopefully, I'm hoping that the reason is that they're going to be trying to tie up some of those loose ends that they've...
That's what I was just thinking while you were saying that, is maybe this is the expansion where all the loose ends that have come to this point, they're going to try to wrap up. And so Pandaria is a means to an end of doing that. And, there's going to be things there that will explain some of the other things. We can only hope. I got fingers crossed on this one.
Exactly.
It'll be a means to an end of explaining things that took place that they haven't answered yet. I can see that being... I guess maybe the twist is that they decided, well, how can we tell this story in a way that is unique? And they said, well, pandas would be unique. Maybe that's like their thought process on it. I don't know.
Or maybe, God, how can we get these players to shut up about these fracking pandas? Like that's the feeling I got when I was talking to some of the developers. It's just like,
yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things that I guess we'll have to see when the time comes.
well, yeah, but I mean, basically, I like how this whole video has just basically been us talking out of our ass while trying to avoid just saying I have no idea.
I mean, honestly, I will hand to this guy. I openly don't know. I don't have a clue.
No, I don't either.
What to expect?
Like
I think we discussed this after BlizzCon. The fact that I have no clue what to expect, and the fact that then they produce this video, which makes it even more confusing. Like, I will play Mists of Pandaria just to experience whatever the hell is going on.
My thoughts right now. I just keep telling myself. The thing I keep repeating to myself is, don't worry, Warcraft 4 will fix it. Warcraft 4 will fix it. Right?
Yeah, no matter what. That game, but to me, Warcraft 4, I think, would end up being the story with Sargeras and the Titans.
I
think that's what it would be.
Honestly, I hope so. Honestly, because that all goes back into my Illidan theory, right? Which I haven't even released yet. But we're still working.
You always keep saying it's coming.
It is coming.
And you never really release all of it.
I honestly have. If you go back and listen to everything I've done in the past 2 months or since BlizzCon, I actually have pretty much given it all away with just a couple of details not there. But yeah, I mean, you just have to piece it all together and you'd get something sort of good. But like, I hope so. But at the same time, I just don't know, because I think that Blizzard has this like thought in the back of their mind. How we need to get World of Warcraft so good that Warcraft 4, even though it's not an MMO, is going to sell like hotcakes, right? I think they've been at that point. Matter of fact, I think that point has come and gone, to be perfectly honest with you.
All right. No, I agree. I think, and this is just something that I think should have happened a while ago. I think that after Wrath of the Lich King, or during Wrath of the Lich King, with the defeat of Arthas, they should have released Warcraft 4.
No, I completely and totally agree.
And they should have had this storyline about the end of the world in Warcraft 4. They could have done a lot more story, a lot more addressing issues, ended it better with a badass cinematic and stuff, and then Cataclysm would be... or whatever, I guess they'd have to make up a new expansion, but they could do whatever they wanted after that point. They could do whatever they want because they would have wrapped up the story in Warcraft 4.
Matter of fact, they could even go back to World of Warcraft. Think about it.
No. I agree. I'm saying in World of Warcraft, whatever took place during the, let's say, like Warcraft 4, Cataclysm, whatever it would have been called, that storyline would have taken place. Like, that game would have been released between... it would have come out at the end of Lich King, and then before the next expansion, they would have released that game. And so, let's say there's a 6-month period over there, and so they would have released content and like stuff that, like, in WoW, things that related to that story, but weren't really, like you're helping that. They could have like tied it with Warcraft 4, like cross promotional stuff. But Warcraft 4 was the story of Cataclysm. Then the next expansion of WoW could have been whatever the hell they wanted. Yeah. Because the story would have wrapped up, and then they could have changed the world in some way to fit.
You could have had this amazing like end of Warcraft 4 cinematic, right, where Deathwing dies and his last words or something like, I see only pandas, right? And boom, World of Warcraft Mists of Pandaria. You got it right there. It's perfect.
And the thing would be is that it would have worked a lot better with the world ending kind of thing too, because you could have made the World of Warcraft, you could have done the whole world change they wanted to do, but make it after the Cataclysm took place, after the defeat of Deathwing, and so the world is recovering from the chaos. And during that time, you could have done as much Horde Alliance stuff, because I know they keep going back to that, like they really want to do that, but they never really accomplish it, right? And they could have gone back to that. They could have done this whole Garrosh story. They could have done Thrall, because Thrall went off to go be a shaman. Like Thrall could come back and be like, oh no, this is horrible, right? They could do that whole Horde versus Alliance thing in this, made up expansion we're talking about, and not even have to worry about any of the other problems, because they could have wrapped it up in a game outside of WoW that people would have played because of the storyline connected to World of Warcraft. Yes. And then they could have gone wherever they wanted to. They could have started over essentially and gone a different
not
path.
only
with the
that, but
story.
it would have caused people to resub to WoW as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just to find out what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I
Make
agree.
them more direct, because that was my issue with the end of Warcraft 3 and then the release of World of Warcraft is that, like, we didn't see Arthas, we didn't see Illidan, we saw basically no one from Warcraft 3 right there at the beginning.
Well, the setup was, though, they set up the world. I mean, that's what I like. That I remember feeling that after beating Wrath of the Lich King, or not Wrath of the Lich King, the Frozen Throne. I remember the feeling, because the game ends with Arthas ascending the throne, Illidan bloody mess on the ground below him, and him putting on the helmet, and that's the end of the game.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? Wait, pause, hold on. And then it took me a minute, and I realized, oh, wait, that's right, WoW's coming out, like, in a year or two. And so it was that kind of, this is the transition to that. And so when you play WoW, you see all the things that Arthas did in Lordaeron. You experience Sylvanas, because Sylvanas was in, Frozen Throne, and she led her revolt, but it didn't really go anywhere until then you see what happens in WoW. Like, all those things were what took place afterwards, which is why I think our idea of Warcraft 4 is so good, because Warcraft 3, that expansion, Frozen Throne, was basically a setup for what will come in WoW. Like, it set up everything perfectly for what you're about to experience in WoW, right? And then you have WoW, Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King. If they would have done Warcraft 4 then, right, it ends all the things that happened in Wrath of the Lich King, or in Frozen Throne with Arthas and all. It ends that storyline perfectly. That was set up in Warcraft 3. They could have finished the dragon aspect story, done the whole old god thing, had this big epic fight that would have looked much better, let's be honest, in an RTS.
Oh yeah.
And then they would have, and then that storyline ends there, and it sets up something else. Like, the dragons now have lost their powers and all this stuff. And at the end of, let's say an expansion for Warcraft 4, right? You could be like, oh shit, the dragons have lost their powers. Who will protect the planet now, considering that there's, like, let's say old gods are still around, and the Burning Legion is coming back, right? And that's boom, the setup for the next
and then boom,
WoW
the World of Warcraft login screen appears on your computer.
Right, it's that like well, great, who can do it? You can. Boom, go back to the game.
Exactly.
And so that's a amazing setup. That is completely the way they should have gone. Now that when I think about it, compared to this, which is like, well, we sort of lost our powers. See you guys next expansion. Like, son of a bitch. It felt like it felt underwhelming, I think is the word.
Yeah. I think I think everyone is just like kind of feeling like, really?
Yeah.
Like, that's it?
Anyone who had any investment in the fact that they sold it so hard, like, you were taking on Deathwing, the baddest of the bad. Like, this is going to be an epic fight. And then you get to him. Admittedly, the fight's pretty badass. You got Deathwing tentacles and stuff, and the dragons are fighting, and it looks awesome. But at the same time,
the mechanics of the fight, badass. The story after the fight makes me want to punch myself in the face.
Yeah, the story is basically, they decided that they didn't want to make people sit through a story. So, like, when you killed Arthas, at least you got this, like, this epic ending where at the end,
Yeah, like, that's my other thing. Ended. What is up with these, like, 4, 15-second cinematics? Like, give me 10 minutes, man. Give me a story, right? Like, let me watch something. Yeah. Like, I just defeated Deathwing. Let me smoke a cigarette, drink some beer, and take a break. God, Jesus.
Yeah,
right?
And even then, they don't even have a scene where it's like, you go back to a town and then a scene takes place. Like, there's nothing. It's you have defeated Deathwing. We lost our powers. Oh, here's a Star Wars cinematic of fireworks going off. All right, and fade out. Oh, by the way, Agra's pregnant. Fade out.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's one of those things.
Which means we have our newest addition to the Teen Titans of Azeroth.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, and so Medan will be like, "Go Teen Titans," and they'll all get together and have a party. But seriously, oh, by the way, Medan, where the hell was he? Like, this is one of those things that I know, since we were there at the lore panel, and Metzen pretty much said, like, look, there's way too many stories to continue with them all. But you can't have, like, all these stories that tie in with the old gods and not finish them.
Seriously, he's the son of Medivh, for crying out loud. The dude is important. Put him in there somewhere.
I mean, you can't make a whole comic series about him and him fighting the old gods and then be like, oh, he's not going to be involved in any of this. Silly. Silly. Silly.
And it's like he would have had to be involved in the stuff that was going on in Twilight Highlands. That was the whole purpose of the comic book. Was him and
Indeed.
Cho'Gall and the Twilight people. And then all of a sudden, like, he just decides, you know what, never mind, I'm just not gonna fool with it. Here. Random mage over there, random shaman over there. Here, just do me a favor. Kill Cho'Gall for me if you don't mind, of course. Like, what?
Yeah, I don't even have a clue. I don't know what to tell you. It's aggravating isn't even the word.
And I like how we say this. We're just like, you know what, fuck it all. Just ugh. What is
yeah.
And then we're like, but I cannot wait for Miss of Pandaria, man. I cannot wait. We're like crack fiends, man. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of those, like, I want to see where the story goes kind of deals. I know it can't. I hope it lives up to expectation, but I almost feel like it won't. But I don't care because I just want to see where it goes, just so I can say I know.
Right.
Like I'm a knowledge crackhead. Like I have to have, like, if I want to know just so I can wrap up the story in my own mind. Like if I were to quit after Pandaria, at least I know where it went. Like that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so I don't know. I'd rather have an idea, but instead, like, they didn't. I don't know. They said they were going to wrap up this story at the end of Cataclysm, but there is no wrap up. Like, it's just confusion. I don't know.
All right. Did I mention that I have a plushy creeper?
No.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Good to know. Good to know. All right, guys. I guess that's it.
There's nothing else to talk about. Like.
Yeah, there's nothing else to talk about. We're done. We're done. We're done.
What the hell?
I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. That's our ramblings. I think we're done for now. There's nothing else to say. But I will say it's been fun. Go and look at Pride's awesome videos at The Smoking Gamer. He does many, many, many podcasts, like 1 million of them at Nordisil Radio. Just go to his channel. Links and stuff are there. Link is on the video right now.
On a Jesse being a fairy.
I am a fairy in Han. Go play Heroes of New Earth, and you can hear me. My voice, in which they totally made to not sound at all like me, which is probably for the best. Let's be honest.
No, it totally sounds like you, dude. I recognized it as soon as I heard it.
They upped the like.
Oh well, as soon as Idager sent me the sound files.
So but yeah, so you can go play that, and I think that's it. I think the next time we'll get together to do a WoW thing is should they have a special patch before the release of the next expansion.
Yeah. Or if they release some massive, spoiler
content dump or something. Yeah, I mean, at this point, really, there's nothing we can say. Like we could try and we could do 12 of these things,
and you'll never.
It would be the exact same rambling.
This one,
yeah, we'll just be rambling of us trying to figure out where they're going. There's nothing we can say or know based off of any of this. So we're gonna end it there. We'll say to be continued as always. And thank you guys for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. And we'll see you in Mists of Pandaria, hopefully. All right. Adios.